Moving on, SMLE Carbine. This one I give 10 out of 10 on the sweet spot and damage. And briefly explaining, the sweet spot here is 40 meters to 75 meters. So it's ultimately, or it is actually only a 35 meter head spot, or a 35 meter sweet spot. That's something that, which, to be clear, and I'm sure you guys know this, but a sweet spot refers to the range at which the rifle is a one-shot kill to the chest. It's a 2-hit kill at all ranges, and it's a 1-hit kill headshot at all ranges. Obviously 100 base damage in the sweet spot, 80 base damage outside the sweet spot. The reason I give it the 10 out of 10 on the sweet spot / damage is primarily the usefulness of that sweet spot. 40 meters to 75 meters is really the range you should be targeting as scout. Like, that's your desired engagement range, especially with an infantry or a carbine sight. As far as pros, it's got good hip fire, has an ideal sweet spot, has a decent rate of fire, good muzzle velocity, it has good accuracy, and it has low spread when it's in motion, same as all other carbine rifles. It can stay ADS between shots. Again, that's something that's shared in common with all infantry and all carbine rifles. It has a 10-round magazine, and it has a 2.5 times zoom. So the 10-round magazine really is what distinguishes the SMLE, that and the excellent sweet spot. Those two features together really make it very easy to be effective with. This is the easiest probably rifle to be extremely effective with. The cons, the 2.5 times zoom goes in the pros because it's better than an infantry rifle. It zooms a bit more. It goes in the cons because it's only 2.5 times zoom, but also because of the slightly slower ADS, right? And there's also a somewhat complicated dynamic reload, meaning that it has two 5-round strip clips that your character will load in if you totally empty the rifle. If you don't totally empty it, but you fired more than 5 rounds, he'll load the strip clip first and then load individual rounds. So you just have to, but you can't interrupt that. You can't interrupt that reload. So a potential tactic is if you fire more than 5 rounds, but if you fire more than 5 rounds, you can interrupt the reload to just so your guy just loads in the strip clip, and then you can start shooting again. That's something I do pretty often because thumbing in individual rounds isn't very efficient. So that's one thing to consider. So you kind of have to think about your reload a little bit more sometimes. So that's one sort of con on the ease of use function. For versatility, I rank it 8 out of 10. Yeah, the sweet spot's about ideal for infantry and carbine rifles. It's in general the perfect engagement range for scouts. I think that the 740 meter per second bullet velocity makes it very capable in its sweet spot, which is 40 to 75 meters again. So, in looking at the time here, even at the far end of its sweet spot, you're talking about just over 100 milliseconds. So you're talking about just over 1/10 of a second. That's extremely fast. You're still able to lead targets pretty well at that range. So I think both those things make it a very, very competitive rifle. Great in large game mode, especially operations, where the 10-round mag is especially useful. Enemies tend to be packed in tight, quite a bit tighter in operations. And then it's decent. It's a decent choice for 12v12 game modes on maps that favor long range engagements. I think it ultimately is better than the Mosin Nagant just because that sweet spot starts 20 meters closer, right? That 20 meters means quite a lot on if you're playing TDM or if you're playing any of the other 12v12 game modes. So ultimately, the score I give on that is 26 out of 30, the highest I've awarded to any weapon, actually, even on the assault tier list as well. But I think the tier list and like how you rank things on the tier list is determined sort of by the class and the way you play the class. And to my mind, the SMLE Carbine is a clear, to my mind, the SMLE is a clear standout on the scout class. I don't think there's, if you're a scout player and you play mostly with infantry or carbine rifles, I don't think whatever rifle you're using right now, you could get more kills with this rifle. Like, you might have a different rifle that's your favorite, but if you practiced with this one for a little while, it would make you better. And that's why on the tier list I put it at S. So